Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on this 2017 Cadillac XT5 on how to remove the door panel. Today we're going to be working on the driver's side door on the front, but this process should be really similar on all four of the doors. They have a very similar style, so you can probably apply most of this to any of the doors. So let's talk a little bit about why I'm doing this. This is a project I've put off for quite a while, and I'll get into why in a little bit. But there are a few reasons. One is the little door catch has a crack in it now. I'm not really sure if this is an aesthetic thing. I mean, there seems to be a some sort of an inner core, inner metal core that's still keeping it from the door from swinging out too far. But it's a cheap part. I think brand new genuine GM part was like $12 or $13. So I figured out while I'm in there, might as well replace that. So the other reasons that I want to get in here is to investigate some vibrations, some rattles that have plagued the car since pretty much day one. So the first rattle that I've noticed, it seems to affect all of the doors. So I may eventually tear down the rest of them too. But it seems to be up in this area here. So I can press my hand up against the door when it's occurring and it goes away. I really think it might be something to do with this trim. I looked at some pictures online and it looks like there may be screws in the back of this that hold this wooden metal to the plastic, so maybe it's just as simple as tightening up something in there, but it seems to be in this general area. It doesn't happen all the time, depends on the road and probably other conditions as well, but that's one reason I want to get this open. Another reason is I've been getting vibrations with certain music out of the speaker here. Prior to filming this, I was really thinking we were going to be doing a speaker replacement, and now I'm not really sure actually, because I was doing some tests with some music in the car, and I found out, at least with the music that I was playing, that if I held right in here, that those vibrations went away. So I'm not sure. There seems to be quite a bit of things on the internet about the driver's door speaker going bad in this vehicle. So I'm not 100% sure whether that's what's affecting mine or not, but we'll investigate that while we're in there. So I've had quite a few door panels off over the years on various vehicles, and most of the vehicles I've owned have been GM, and they all kind of follow the same kind of pattern no matter which make or model it is. Usually it's going to be mostly clips, plastic clips, around the perimeter of the door, and this door appears to be like that as well. And then there's usually a couple of bolts somewhere around the door handles, because I guess because they figure you're going to be pulling on that pretty hard. So there is a bolt underneath the cover on the door handle here, as well as one back here. I've started and stopped this project several times, and one of them that was one of the reasons that I did was this little plastic piece right here really had me puzzled as to how to get it off. And I did get it off a few months ago. I took some pictures. I have a better idea of how it comes off. There's some really tight metal clips in there. You know, anytime I'm doing trim work, I really try to really pride myself in not boogering up the plastics. And I did all right on this, but I'm not proud of it. There's some, if you look real close, there's some spots, and there's definitely some spots underneath. So hopefully now that I've had it off once, and now that you guys can see what it looks like on the back, you won't make the same mistakes as I did. This should be no big deal. This should just pop off. The other reason I've been putting this off is, according to the service manual, in addition to the regular clips on the border, and then I think there's some metal clips along the top here, there is two special clips supposedly right around here. And this is what the user manual says about those two clips. The two high retention retainers at the upper rear edge of the door trim will be destroyed during removal. It will require more than 67 pound-feet of force to remove the fasteners, breaking them in the process. So I've never run into anything like that. So that should be interesting. And there's always a possibility. I'm curious to see, will they actually get destroyed? If so, I'm probably going to have to order some and, you know, put it back to, and take the door apart a second time. I'm curious to see if somebody's been in here. I mean, if somebody's been in here, that might explain, you know, those may have been destroyed and they may not have replaced them. And, you know, it could be that that's where the rattle's coming from potentially. You know, I bought this car used, so there's no telling. So that's going to be, you know, in addition to this, which I've already had off, the other tricky thing will probably be this. I don't know exactly, you know, in terms of how much pulling you have to do for 67 foot-pounds of torque, but we're about to find out. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. So right now you can see a picture that I took the last time I pulled this off. And so there are two metal clips, one right around here and one right up here. So those are the two areas that we're going to focus on. And so, you know, we want to be careful because we've got leather all around here, and of course try not to booger up the plastic itself. So let's see if I can get this off again. So it has been a few months, as I alluded to before. I believe what finally helped me is this tool here. This is actually a paint can opener. You can pick these up at Lowe's or Home Depot. Oftentimes they'll have them there at the paint counter, and sometimes they'll just give you one. Just using that to hook under where that clip is probably at, so I have something to pull on. So I've got that hooked up under the plastic in the approximate location where that clip is. And there it goes. So that was a lot easier now that I have an idea of where to pull on. So I'm going to do the same thing on this end over here. All right, so that's it. Got it out. Like I said, it was not that easy the first time, so I'm not sure how much of this was past experience and knowing where to pull, or if maybe these clips are have a little bit of wear on them now, so, or a combination of both. So that's what you've got to do to pull that out there. If you look real close, you can kind of see how much struggling I did last time just by the how much the plastic is boogered up. Thankfully, it's boogered up in places where you don't really see it, but that is tricky. And there wasn't really a lot of good information online as far as how to remove that that piece. So that's probably one of the worst parts of this job. Well, hopefully one of the worst parts. We're going to find out. Alrighty, so we do have a couple of screws under here as expected. These are T20 Torx, so let's go ahead and remove those. Alright, so next we do have this little plastic panel, which I believe there's a screw or two under there as well. So I've got a little plastic pry tool. And that pops off very easily. And there's a screw down in here. You have to pull the handle out of the way, and I think this is, yeah, this is another T20. All right, so let's let the fun begin. I think I'm gonna start down here along the bottom on some of the more standard clips and work my way up. All right, actually, they fooled me. There's actually another screw under here. That's unusual. Like I said before, normally it's just up there around the top. So, you know, like anything, if you start to pull and it doesn't feel like it's going to come, always stop and reassess things. So let's take a look at that real quick. So yeah, if you look real close, there is another bolt, or another screw. I'm guessing another T20. Yep. I believe these metal clips are facing this direction, and we need to lift up on the panel to disengage them. So we'll see. Go ahead and roll down the window to try to give myself a little more room. Okay, I think this is what we're fighting here. There's these little clips it's hanging off of on the door. All right, so now that I've been able to look in there and see how this is set up, this is how the clip is in the door. So this is the outside of the door, and this is the inside. So it's clipped in here, which is what's giving us so much grief, but it also looks like it's made to lift up as well, although it's got little teeth that are grabbing on it here. So not really sure whether they intend for you to disengage it this way or lift it up. That's what we're trying to figure out. I think we've got it down now. So I've got this bottom half of the door angled out, and there's a rubber gasket you kind of have to hold up against because it's trying to pull off the door too. And then we're pulling this direction. I think there's just one more. Yep, I can see it. It's right here. Trying to be a little more careful because on doors I've had in the past, this rod comes up through here and is connected down here, so I'm not really wanting to pull too hard and have this rip something apart. Yeah, I can see the last clip is disengaged up here, but I'm not really sure what's hanging us up. I think there may be one more plastic clip in here. Oh. Yep, there was one more plastic clip right up in there. All right, so it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna be very challenging to film, but we need to disengage this locking cable that goes to the handle. So it looks like we've got a little plastic guy here we need to pinch. This needs to push down. So you can see that's pulling out. And then we can rotate the cable out. And that little ball slides in right there. I'm not sure how good you can see that. It's just super hard to film at that angle. And we do have this wiring harness to disengage. So I think that this red clip right here needs to pull down. Yep, that one unlocks. And then I believe we just pull this out. Oops, locked it again. Yep. That unlocks the wiring harness. And now we've got one more over here. And again, very hard to film, but there's a release on the top of this plug right here. And then it pulls out. All right, something that I did encounter when pulling this off, and I don't know if it's my lack of experience or if it's unavoidable, but they have this rubber piece along the door, and this is where these clips, they kind of hang into the top of the door, I believe. And so a couple of them fell out. You can see indentations where they each go. So this one stayed in, that one stayed in, this one's coming out. So let's see, we need to put that back together while it's on our, oh, okay. So you can just lift up on it, and actually you can see little spaces for these clips. So actually that comes right out of the way. So we need to put these clips back on. And then go ahead and put this rubber piece back. It's got a fuzzy side that goes towards the window, which makes sense. And you can kind of see where it's going to line up. There's a little cutout right here for this piece. Which kind of seems like an afterthought, honestly. So now we've got that taken care of. And something else you want to look for is I just looked at the back of the door and noticed that a couple of these little guys were missing. Let me get this focus. So it looks like a couple of them ended up sticking in the door, so we're going to go ahead and pop those out. So the service manual made it look, it pointed out 2 clips that were those high retention clips. It was pointing to these 2 here, but those look like all the rest around the bottom. What I am seeing that quote unquote got destroyed is the one that went up here. So if we look real close, and that was that one, if you'll remember, that I was struggling with at the end, part of it's stuck in the door. So you would definitely need to have at least one of those on hand in order to properly reassemble it. I would guess that no one's actually been in the store, or they properly replaced it, since I did have to break that loose. So here's a quick look at the back of the door. So the one that I think that they are talking about having to replace, you can see the remnants of it there. So for now, I'll probably just pull that out since I don't have that on hand. But the rest of these clips I've put back in place. They're gray ones along this front, or along the rear edge of the door, along the bottom, and then there are yellow ones here along the edge that goes towards the inside of the car. And then if you look real close here, you can see these slots up top, like that there, that those metal clips were in. So just wanted to show you guys what that looks like. I always think it's a good idea to kind of understand in your head what you are fighting with. And so let's go ahead and replace that little door catch first, and then I'll poke around and see if I see any reasons why we've got rattles in here. Here's a closer look at that clip that broke. Really struggling to understand why they would make one different than all the rest. Everything else about where this goes looks the same as the rest of them. So I don't know. That seems like a strange move. I'm sure there's a reason. Honestly, if I can fit a regular style one up there, I may just go with that, because it's a lot of fighting to get that guy out of there. Yeah, so what I did for now is I just pulled one of those gray clips out of the bottom, since it'd be pretty easy to pull the bottom loose and put a replacement in there. And I moved it up to where the one that snapped off goes. So we'll see. I don't see a reason, the hole in the car looks exactly the same as the rest of them. So I don't see a reason why that won't work. And obviously, 2 inches above it, there's that metal clip, so it's not going anywhere. And as long as that doesn't introduce any rattles, that's probably the route I would go. And I will pick up another one of these little gray ones on eBay if it seems like that hasn't introduced any new rattles. All right, so let's go ahead and get this replaced. Looks like we've got a little plastic cover. And it just slides off. So it looks like we've got our 10mm bolt here. So I did set some heavy bags behind the door. I'm not sure if the door would swing out and get damaged without this piece, but definitely something to think about. So I've had to get a little creative with the camera angle here, but these are also 10mm, so we're going to go ahead and loosen those up. All right, and I'm gonna guess we've got to pull this out through the inside of the door, so that we've got like a rain shield type of thing here, and that's just held in place by some sticky goo. Just carefully pull that back. It does look like this little rubber piece has to come off. Pull that off like that. Like I said, I'm not really sure if it was compromised structurally or not. There's definitely a metal core in there, although this outside part is metal as well, so I'm not so sure it had to be replaced, but no more than it cost, and since I wanted to get in the door and look around anyway, no big deal. So we've got the genuine replacement here from GM, and so we'll just go ahead and slip that in, kind of the reverse of what we just did. Don't forget to put your little rubber piece, slide it back on. And I would go ahead and get all the screws started. All right, and then finally slide the little rubber piece back on. Of course, you got to make sure when you're sliding it on the new piece that you've got it on the right direction, so it'll snap back on. It took me a couple looks at it to remember how it went back on there. All right, so that may just be a cosmetic fix, but you know, it's cheap insurance for the door slamming into the side of the car at some point in the future. So far I haven't really found a smoking gun as far as where I'm getting these rattles occasionally. This was kind of hung in like this. I pulled this back, and we do have more of these 20mm Torx screws, and so I'm just going to be going around snugging them all up. So far all the ones I've touched have had a little bit of room to be snugged up, so I'm not really sure if that's going to make any difference, but might as well. And so basically I'm looking for anything that can be tightened down inside this door panel. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down. So I ran some more sound tests, and I really don't think it's the speaker, which is good because they're probably about $70 or $80 new. And I don't hear any vibration coming directly from here. I actually went into the settings and told it to shove all the audio through this door so I could really hear it. And I also don't feel anything, pushing the speaker. I don't feel anything rubbing or anything like that. Hard to say for sure. I'm tightened up any other screws I could see here. The one thing I did notice is this rain guard was already, even before I messed with it, it was already loose. And it did seem like there was some vibrations coming from that with the door open. So I think I'm going to use some foam tape down here and re-adhere that to the body. Yeah, this right here has no sticky at all. It was just kind of sitting here. So it looks like it starts sticking about there. So I'm just trying to cut it into more manageable pieces so I can kind of run with the door here. And again, this is more about the speaker vibration. I'm really hoping tightening up those things in the door takes care of those other vibrations up near the top. All right, I think that has it pretty well covered. It doesn't have to be necessarily airtight. I'm just trying to keep this from vibrating. In my opinion, that could definitely have been causing it. All right, that's definitely stuck on there quite a bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. It should be pretty much the reverse of what we did before. So we're going to start by connecting the wiring harnesses. Go ahead and thread this up through its little hole. And let's see if we can get this thing clipped back in place. Those seem to clip in okay. There's that one that was so hard before that I just replaced with the normal style one. And yeah, so far this has been 1,000 times easier to reassemble than it was to get it apart. Although, I think if I ever have to get it apart again, it'll be much simpler now that I know what I'm doing. And last but not least, let's put in this little hidden screw along the bottom. So just a quick update. Did some more audio tests with the same music that was causing the vibrations before, and it seems to be gone from what I can tell. So in my case, there's definitely a good chance that the audio vibrations, the audio rattles, were caused by that loose rain shield in the door, and which would make sense because that was on the corner of the door where the speaker is, and I could hold my hand up against the plastics on the bottom half of the door and get it to go away. So hopefully, in my case, that's what was causing it, and I guess some more road time will tell us for sure, and of course we'll have to wait and see the rattles up near the top of the door if this resolved it. Alrighty guys, that about does it for this video. Remains to be seen whether we have any improvements on the rattling. That was very intermittent for me, so I imagine I won't know right away unless, of course, I made it 10 times worse. Hopefully this helps somebody. I'm sure there's a lot of other repairs and replacements that you can get to by removing the door panels. So if you guys would consider subscribing to the channel, that'd be great. If you have any questions or suggestions, of course, the comments are always there for you too. Thanks so much.